Hello all, Simpsons Clips 24 here, and happy Gerry Anderson Day. Unless, of course, you're watching this in the future, in which case, happy Gerry Anderson Day for next year. So, today I thought I'd talk to you about my ideas for a second series of my favourite Anderson show, Lavender Castle. Now, a second series had been planned, and indeed commissioned by CITV, but because the show ground to a sudden and abrupt halt when its distribution rights were purchased by Hit Entertainment, there wasn't one. But let's imagine an alternative timeline wherein that second series was made. What would the episodes have been like? Would new characters have been introduced? Would we be seeing any new planets? As a matter of fact, we would. I met Rodney Matthews, the show's designer, at an art workshop in the Cotswolds some years ago, and I discussed my ideas with him. He was also more than happy to draw the two new main characters me and my friend Jack Williams had thought of for this new series. The first one is Princess Astra, a young but feisty princess who is a new crew member on board the Paradox, has a link to Lavender Castle and is from 500 years in the past, which I will reveal more about in a moment. She is very kind and sweet, just like her mother figure Laika, but she is also capable of extreme rage and can take on Dr. Aegon just as well as the other crew, as you can see. She is never without her teddy bear, Sapphire, which she has had ever since she can remember. I had Sophie Aldred in mind as the voice of her. She's no stranger to science fiction, having been in Doctor Who as Ace. The second character is Donald, one of Dr. Aegon's 1001 unseen slaves, who now joins Aegon and his Falcon Trump in their nefarious schemes to defeat the Paradox and find Lavender Castle. Think about his name for a second. He is a lot smarter than Trump seems to be, but is often shunned by both Aegon and Trump. I had Jimmy Hibbert in mind as the voice of him, using his Kenneth Williams snide voice that he also used for various characters in Count Duckula and other programmes of that ilk. As for behind-the-scenes tidbits on this second series, well, I read somewhere that when Carrington Productions International were absorbed into Entertainment Rights, they planned to have the second series' CGI portions animated by an unknown animation studio in Canada, which I'm going to suspect would have been Nelvana. I also read that 26 scripts for this second series had been written by its current writers, Gerry Anderson, Pauline Fisk, who wrote 6 of them, and Chris Trengove, alongside 2 new additions, Jimmy Hibbert and Marco Palmer, who wrote 10 of them. I don't really know what's happened to them, but I can only assume that NBC Universal, who now owns Lavender Castle, has an equivalent to the BBC's written archive with these scripts. Now, on to the episodes that me and Jack devised. First of all, we have The Cosmic Princess, where, after overhearing Dr. Aegon's meeting with his new alliance from the episode Birds of a Feather, the crew goes in search of a clue to Lavender Castle. A young princess in an enchanted slumber named Princess Astra, who will only awaken with a song from a voice of purity, which of course Laika possesses. In Memories Are Made of This, the Paradox flies into the cloud of chaos again, this time causing some of the crew to get amnesia, resulting in them revealing their location to Dr. Aegon and his alliance. Can Captain Thrice and Isambard, who weren't affected, rescue the crew's memories? Let's hope so, because in episode 3, the Skyhorse stable, exploring the planet Aquaria for a clue that might lead the clue to Lavender Castle, Laika, Sproggle and Astra hear a strange noise coming from an old Skyhorse stable and going there to confront it, unaware that what they're confronting is actually quite friendly. It is the last Skyhorse in the universe, which Isambard is taken for a wild ride on. In Now You See Me, Sproggle discovers a bright lavender light coming from the furthest corner of the universe. Could this be where Lavender Castle is now located? Meanwhile, Laika finds a ring which Astra puts on, turning her invisible, and to make matters worse, she can't get it off. In Return of the King, it is rumoured that once every 100 years, the ghost of the King of Lavender Castle rises from the dead to visit his home. While Dr. Aegon's alliance plan to use this superstition to follow him to Lavender Castle, the Paradox crew plans to use it to trap them and get there first. In the caves of Raddech, Roger enters a mysterious cave on the planet Raddech and comes out flat and disfigured like a Picasso painting and speaking backwards. Dr. Aegon and Donald also enter the cave and come out with their heads swapped over to the other's body. Can Roger, Aegon and Donald be put right? In living legend, Roger is reunited with the Firefly, his starfighter previously thought destroyed, and after a few modifications by Isambard and the Twaddle twins, it comes in useful when Dr. Aegon attacks Roger's home planet of Ostraland. In The Floran Prince, seeking revenge for his defeat on the planet Zark, the Guardian makes a deal with a prince on the planet Flora, which is to give Lyca as a bride to the prince in exchange for the Grand Palace's many treasures. In Fountain of Truth, on the planet Bimini, Dr. Aegon drinks from the Fountain of Truth, believing it to be the Fountain of Youth. As a result, he begins to speak the truth and plans to change his ways, but can the Paradox crew trust him? In the Prophecy Pool, while making a visit to the planet Newark, Sproggle falls into the Prophecy Pool, which shows him a vision of the future where he becomes Shortthread Led's sidekick again, only to turn out to be even more dangerous than Shortthread Led. Is there any way to prevent this from happening? In Return to Sender, Isambard wants to take command of the Paradox to reach his friend on his home planet of Fellow, but rather suspiciously, Captain Thrice will only let him take command if he reveals Lavender Castle's location to Dr. Aegon's alliance. Will Isambard betray his friends to help another, or is there another sinister plot in the making? In Tales We Win, while the crew is fishing on the planet Brightonia on sea, Astra catches a huge fish that drags the Paradox down into the sea. Venturing out into the deep blue in the form of a fish, she befriends a mermaid who could come in useful when Shortthread Led takes the rest of the crew prisoner in an underwater volcano. In Inferno, the Paradox is set alight by the Mammoth Machine's new flamethrower, and with the inside of the ship in flames, the crew must try and contain the fire before it can do any more damage. Don't worry, the Paradox gets prepared at the end, because in Escape, Ang Imal, an old-school bully of Dr. Aegon, escapes from a prison barge orbiting the planet Uvo and kidnaps Astra, forcing the rest of the crew to work together with Aegon and rescue Astra. It's one of those villain teams up with the hero stories that I'm quite a sucker for. In Mirror Mirror, accelerating at light speed during a chase with Dr. Aegon, the Paradox goes through hyperlight and sends Captain Thrice, Roger, Isambard and Lyca to a parallel universe called the Mirror Universe, where everything is the wrong way round. In Web of Fear, Dr. Aegon finds the wreckage of his spider robot on the planet Festal, and with the unknowing help of the Twaddle twins, he uses it to launch a surprise attack on the Paradox, during which Astra ends up tangled in one of the spider's webs. In Thanks for the Memoirs, the Paradox lands on the planet Kubgol, where the crew finds an abandoned tower containing the King of Lavender Castle's diary. Could this lead them to Lavender Castle? In Julia, on the planet Tirips, Lyca and Astra stumble across a ghost girl called Julia, who is looking for her father. Since Astra knew Julia when she was still alive, she and Lyca both offer to help her. But with Dr. Aegon seeking a use for Julia, the three of them have to be very careful. In the Dark Forest, making a stop-off on the planet Quagmire to collect some more dank juice for fuel, Isambard gets taken by a tribe of danks who believe he is a god called the Great Bro Kali. At first he enjoys the experience, however, as he soon learns, the tribe plans to sacrifice him. In the Nightmare Experiment, because no Anderson series is complete without a dream episode, Dr. Aegon's falcon, Trump, steals Isambard's new dream machine whilst the crew are asleep, and Aegon alters the machine so he can invade the crew's dreams and render them unable to wake up. In Crossfire, Isambard learns of a collection of paintings on the planet Pikissi, one of which may be a clue to finding Lavender Castle. Another one of the paintings may also come in useful when Shortthread Led raids the planet. In Mission to Magnus, using the Lavender Compass found in the Mirror universe, the Paradox lands on the planet Magnus, a planet at the edge of the universe. As the crew explore, they find that the planet is inhabited by only one life form, one who seems to know too much about the crew. In Allegiance, a group of explorers led by the two famous explorers Stanley and Livingstone discover what appears to be Lavender Castle, forcing Captain Thrice and Isambard to disguise themselves as explorers. But while they're gone, Dr. Aegon takes Isambard's place on board the Paradox. In The Oracle, led to the planet Kalras by Shortthread Led and Dr. Aegon, the Paradox crew find themselves trapped on the planet and must find a way to escape while saving the true ruler of the planet, a being known only as the Oracle, who may know a thing or two about Lavender Castle. In Last of the Metamorphs, Astra is captured by Dr. Aegon and his alliance, who attempt to make her lead them to Lavender Castle. However, the alliance, who are sick and tired of Aegon, try to dispose of Aegon instead. Now, as you can guess by the episode title, the episode also reveals a bit about Astra's background. Finally, in the final battle, the final episode of the series, the crew finally finds Lavender Castle at its new location, near Roger's home planet of Ostraland. But with Dr. Aegon nearby, they're not out of the woods yet, so Roger persuades the Royal Ostraland Squadron to launch an attack run on the Dark Station in order to destroy it. Then the episode, and the series as a whole, ends with the crew being welcomed to Lavender Castle by the new king, who I imagine to be voiced by Tom Baker. So, what do you all think? You're more than welcome to let me know in the comments below, and have a great rest of your Gerry Anderson day. Oh, and happy birthday, Mr. A.